In the previous episode, Ash was with Elizabeth. Hello everybody, welcome back. In the previous episode, we were running parallel on Becca's and Isabella's story, and now we have to make a decision on how their relationship is going to progress. These guys are supposed to be best friends. I want them to actually, discuss things like friends and talk about their issues, so realistically, I would want a third option that says that I'm jealous, but obviously, I would assume Becca wouldn't admit that, so I guess we'll do this one.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
Yeah. Okay, it's almost back to normal.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella!
Yeah?
A pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint as my patient allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks. And although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, all right. You should have just said so. I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or give her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, this silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still, a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity. Every little sound, every little single movement, more palpable. It's also really distracting. And with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodged my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon, I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. How did she get that picture? Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth form into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper,
Yes, still here.
did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
Oh my god, this static is killing my ears.
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Coming in?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it's the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment, a short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have... Isabella and I might have... No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into, not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of the strength I have has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whoever, whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the backseat. Even then there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? The elevator music. With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca! Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with a heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca.
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she lets loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please. Can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem well in silence. Friday, October 21st. After watching Blue Foncé, Isabella tried making small talk with Rebecca, but the latter was in a prickly mood and was not interested. On the way home, Rebecca glimpsed something suspicious sitting at the backseat of her car. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind, and of smiles never meant for my eyes, abandoned, if only for a brief moment. October 25th. Is this where they live? This is like a motel. An American motel. Alright, give me a second to figure out the timeline. Rebecca meets Marianne. Marianne picks up the floor plans. Isabella and Zach meet the father. They do the blessing. Rose dies. Isabella drowns herself in work. Marianne sees Lorraine. And now it's today. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take the day or two off because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past it on the way to my mailbox. Chances are, around this hour, she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always been at 4 a.m., either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. It surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. Wait, aren't both of her parents like lecturers or something? Don't they earn like $60K a year? I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if I had gained Mum and Dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Mr. Alistair and Mrs. Alyssa Gales. The years in the Académie naturally brought with it the various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. Wait, why was this sent to her apartment? This one, though, gives off a much more personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mum and Dad are proud of, rightfully so. I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. Okay, so Becca grew up in a household where her parents were never paying attention to her. And now she gets really upset when Ash isn't paying attention to her. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's as small as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for... Why did they just send it to the parents' house? The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum. Her voice is warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Oh, I like happy Becca.
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm all right. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm all right. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down the idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah, blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though not at the moment. I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. Didn't that letter say Ermengarde Mansion? There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. Wow, and they get their mail sent to their daughter. Wow. It only grows more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there. But Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
What?
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointing note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing, it doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule.
I'm really confused with the Mum's accent.
It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
I like Becca's happy face.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This, too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton. And Mandy. To some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
We'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
I like how no one asked how he sprained his ankle. She chuckles, then, a hearty one, tender and always a light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes, even as our calls come to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. It's Saturday! Oh, it's Tuesday. Sorry, I forgot the time skip. Even for a wee bit, it's never a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of my day awaits. And we'll end it there, everybody. Let's see what happens on the rest of Rebecca's day. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all on the next episode. Bye!